Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our call today, our official Unite Stakeholder call. We are so happy to have you here. My name is Carissa Casares. I'm the Communications Manager with Feeding San Diego, and it's an honor to guide us through today's call and introduce you to some of my colleagues and our guest speaker who's here with us today. So thank you for taking time out of your day to be here with us. Just one final reminder that we are asking participants to use the Q&A feature. It's just at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And so if you have questions that come up while you're listening to the information, go ahead and use that feature and we will get to it at the Q&A session at the very end of the call. So we have a lot of ground to cover today. We're going to be together until 2 p.m. around. And so we're going to start with an executive update from our Chief Strategy Officer, Bob Kaminsky. We also have Patty O'Connor, our Chief Supply Chain Officer. She's going to dive into Senate Bill 1383 and how it impacts food donors starting in January 2022. We also have our Director of Programs, Dana Henderson, with us today. She's going to be giving a programs update, and then she's going to introduce our guest speaker and an important partner of ours, Gary Petill, the Director of Food and Nutrition Services at San Diego Unified School District. And then towards the end, I'm going to jump back in and let you all know about our Fuel for Summer campaign, our current fundraising campaign, and ways you can get involved before we open it up to questions from our team. So thank you again so much for being with us. I'm going to pass it off to our Chief Strategy Officer now, Bob Kaminsky, and he's going to give you an update on the executive level. Thank you.
Well, Carissa, thank you very much for the introductions and for passing it off. To all the people who are attending today's Unite call, thank you for joining us. Dan Shea, who is the Chief Executive Officer, would have joined you here today in my place. However, he's currently attending Father Joe's memorial service. Dan has had a long relationship with Father Joe in the pursuit of community help, particularly for those in the homeless and in those who are in need of food. So our thoughts and prayers are with Father Joe's family, and we are grateful that Dan is representing Feeding San Diego, as well as his other organization he's involved in, to represent our commitment to Father Joe's legacy. We just finished up a fiscal year on the 30th of June. And in reflection, we're now gathering all of the data, the information that defines what I will call our performance against a plan. Well, you could start it off by saying that plan was rudely interrupted by something called COVID. And it threw a lot of plans out the window, and new ones had to be instituted on the fly. So as we are trying to aggregate all the information on the performance that we completed, just a couple points of reference for you to let you know about the scale of the magnitude of this team's performance in conjunction with our partners and our agencies, that over the last few months of this fiscal year, we were hitting at a stride in excess of 3 million meals equivalent being delivered to the public on a monthly basis. So once we tally for the year, we know that it's going to be in excess of 34 million meals or equivalent that have been provided to the people in San Diego County who are most in need of assistance and help that our organization and partners were able to provide. Even though we're shifting out of this direct pandemic mode, one of the things that stood out in the last major economic upheaval that we experienced, the 2008 economic drop-off that we experienced, was that many people who were directly affected at the onset did not recover from the economic impact for, in some cases, up to 4 years after the onset of the economic downturn. The pandemic is going to demonstrate similar type of impacts on people in the community. It's obvious we had tremendous economic upheaval in addition to direct need for people to have sustenance provided to them. So we know that over this next 2-3 year period of economic recovery, that the peak for help is still sitting in front of us, which means that the donations, the help, the outreach from community to people in need is going to continue. And I think something to help us appreciate that more is on this next slide, which is information that is provided to us from one of our partners in the area of data analytics and information gathering that helps us paint the picture of what we are attempting to help resolve or to bring to closure. And this is with the San Diego Hunger Coalition. In November of last year, and keep in mind, this is prior to the holiday bump that occurred with COVID-19 resurgence, that there was a recognized gap between what was provided versus what was fully needed. That's in just a 1-month period. It was estimated based on the information and the computation methods used by San Diego Hunger Coalition that more than 42 million meals would be needed during the month of November to bridge the gap for people who faced nutrition and hunger insecurity. Organizations and programs such as CalFresh, youth meals programs, those organizations like Feeding San Diego covered 30 million of those meals in that gap. That still left 12 million meals needing to be covered. So those people went hungry. Similarly, in the January and February time period, with the data lagging by several months, it was reported in May that the January, February figures went up as high as 17 million as the gap. So this is just to represent to you that recovery may be occurring economically, but the gap in meal coverage is going to continue to lag. This problem is not solved strictly on economic return to strength. There is that lingering impact that will take time to recover. So what I'm leaving with you on this point of information is that we may be able to congratulate each other on some very successful performance in helping relieve hunger in San Diego County this past year, and particularly during the pandemic seasons. There is still a hill to climb, and that we need to reset our targets to be higher and to prepare ourselves to make that climb over the upcoming year to 2 year period to ensure that we don't leave people behind. So with that, I would like to go into just a short testimonial of a family that we just had the privilege of providing some nutrition relief to this past Friday at one of our drive-through distributions. This occurred on Friday of this past week at one of our new locations, the Emmanuel Faith Community Church in Escondido. And as you can read, this mom was stating, hey, we lost a family member during the pandemic. We got sick. We had no means of income. We relied on the community. And how grateful she was when she came through this distribution. No questions asked. We are here to help. We are from the community, and we wish you that you will accept what is being offered and that you put it to your family's needs. And Marta, she and her family were so grateful for what was being provided to her and to her family members. And she's just one of many voices that has spoken to the level of support that members of the San Diego community have offered to those who have been impacted, not just by the virus, but by the economic impacts that are going to continue to linger. So from us at Feeding San Diego, to you who are sitting in on this united call, we offer our thanks to you. You are helping make it possible. And we hope that you continue to support this community because it will continue to need our collective support. There are more stories to follow, and there are some of the items that are included in today's agenda that directly link into what this mission is and how we're performing it. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Carissa as we move into the next line item in our agenda to inform you about what that story is as we unfold for the year. Carissa?
Thank you so much, Bob, for that overview and sharing that powerful testimonial. We really appreciate it. It was a great way to kick off our call, so thank you. Next up, we're going to introduce Patty O'Connor. She's our Chief Supply Chain Officer. She's newer to our organization, and we're so lucky to have her. And she has some great supply chain updates and more information on that Senate Bill 1383 that I mentioned earlier that has actually major implications for our organization starting in January of 2022. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Patty.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Bob mentioned earlier, food insecurity is a big issue in San Diego, and over 1 million people across San Diego County are facing hunger, including more than 284,000 children. Meanwhile, more than 35% of all food produced is wasted each year. That is quite a large number. We go to the next slide. We can talk about SB 1383. So ever since we started in 2007, Feeding San Diego has been feeding people, not landfills. And SB 1383 is a new bill that's going into effect in January. It's a climate solution that's going to inspire food producers to do the same as what we've been doing, which is trying to redirect food instead of going to the landfill, taking it to the community. So it's a state law, and it establishes statewide targets to reduce organic waste by 75% and to increase edible food recovery by 20%. And this law is being monitored by Cal Recycle. They're going to enforce and penalize non-compliance. And we're excited about SB 1383 because it will inspire additional food generators to join us in ending hunger through food rescue. Specific businesses will be required to start donating the maximum amount of surplus edible food. So in 2022, starting January 1st, supermarkets, grocery stores, food service providers, food service distributors, and wholesale vendors must begin donating their surplus food. So even if they haven't done it before, they're going to need to start doing it now. And in 2024, that list will be joined by restaurants, hotels, health facilities, large venues, state agencies, and local education agencies. And beginning in January, the food donators will need to have contracts or written agreements with food recovery organizations such as Feeding San Diego. Again, we're just very excited to join with actually the government and the people of California to start saving even more food and giving it out to the community where it needs to go. If we go to the next slide. From March 2020 to March 2021, nearly 70% of the food that we distributed to people facing hunger in San Diego was rescued from donors like supermarkets, retail stores, such. And that includes surplus, imperfect, and discontinued food. We use an app called Meal Connect, and it's really a great user-friendly app that our donors have and also our agencies have. And what it does is we're able to connect if there's extra food, for example, at a restaurant or a grocery store, if they happen to have extra, say, chicken or steaks or dairy products, whatever they have, we can connect them with a local partner that can go and pick it up that very day and distribute it to the community near that partner. So it's a really wonderful tool. And we've been using that for many years, and we look forward to using that in the future as well. We do have a partnership with Amazon, just as an example. So when Amazon came to San Diego and established warehouses, we approached them to have a partnership with them. And since 2017, we've rescued over 1.8 million pounds of food from their 2 warehouses. We have agency partners picking up from the Midway District warehouse and the Kearny Mesa warehouse on a weekly basis. And as you can see, the organizations that are benefiting from these pickups are CARE, I Am My Brother's Keeper, Life Christian Center, Partnership for a Better San Diego, and the San Diego Rescue Mission. And I just want to leave you with a quote from one of those partners. A renewed sense of purpose, progress, and hope has grown within our community members and volunteers. They are a part of another great partnership that is providing large volumes of donations to distribute to the community. Since our new partnership with Amazon, we have not had to turn away any clients due to running out of supplies. And that was from Elizabeth at Life Christian Center. That's our update from supply chain. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. So exciting to hear about how food rescue is going to take an even bigger role in our organization, and we're all looking forward to that. All right, it's now time to discuss some program updates. We have our Director of Programs, Dana Henderson, with us today, and she has some great information to share about the programs that allow us to get all this food out into the community. So I will hand it over to Dana.
Thanks, Carissa. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here with you all today. So as you may know, in March, Feeding San Diego launched the Together Tour, which is a series of large-scale distributions aimed at making fresh, nutritious food accessible to those in need in specific regions of San Diego County, where the meal gap is most acute. And we wanted to share some stats to date on the progress of this initiative. So we're currently operating at 7 sites around the county, which includes Carlsbad, Chula Vista, Fallbrook, San Diego, San Marcos, Sorrento Valley, and Escondido. And impressively, to date, we have served over 63,000 San Diegans and distributed over 917,000 pounds of nutritious food through this initiative alone, really helping to address that sustained hunger that Bob was talking about as a result of the pandemic. And in the photo that you see in this slide, this is actually our board chair, Gwendolyn Sondheim, volunteering at one of our Together Tour distributions at the Pechanga Arena in May. So thank you, Gwendolyn. Next slide, please. As a part of our, so moving on, we'll be speaking a little to our Feeding Heroes initiative. And as a part of our Feeding Heroes initiative, Feeding San Diego is proud to support military families and veterans across the county through a number of food distributions all year round. Feeding San Diego is honored to partner with Veterans Village of San Diego and support the Enlisted Project to recognize those sacrificed greatly for our country and support veterans and military families who might be facing hunger. And we really are looking forward to sharing this new video with you about our Feeding Heroes initiative.
Don't know what happened there. Alex, do we have technical difficulty with the video?
Yep, it lagged for just a second, but coming right up.
All right, it's on its way.
We're here at our large-scale food distribution, providing food to our military community, whether they're active duty or veterans.
Our organization partners with military organizations like Support the Enlisted Project at 17 sites across the county.
We are working with Veterans Village of San Diego, who provided 38 volunteers to help us distribute the food to about 600 households.
We have veterans who are receiving services from our program actually out here volunteering.
We all like to participate as a brotherhood.
We learned to be a cohesive unit in the military, so doing this out here really helps expand on that. It feels just like I was in the service, and it feels good helping the community out here.
We're just very fortunate that through organizations like Feeding San Diego, we're able to bring these resources to our military and veteran community.
It was more than what I expected. So every place we kept stopping, I was like, thank you, there's still so much more coming.
Any little thing, a pack of noodles, pack of rice, can of fruit, every little thing helps.
Let's just keep on making San Diego better every day as a united people.
We are here to help everyone because we're all in this together.
Awesome, really powerful video. And again, we're just happy to be partnering with the military and veteran organizations to provide food resources to the community, and then with our other organizations at large as well to continue to provide these resources. So we'll call the PowerPoint back up and move to the next slide, please. Great. In addition to partnering with organizations supporting military families and veterans across the county, Feeding San Diego also partners with a number of sites supporting youth. And this includes our summer meal program, which we operate at 25 sites across the county and which provides on average 19,000 meals weekly. And these meals could be a breakfast, a lunch, or a snack. In addition, we support 21 school pantry sites that provide on average 4,700 meals weekly to low-income students and their families, really trying to meet people and families where they already are, which often is at schools. All right, next slide, please. A key strength of Feeding San Diego lies in our countywide food rescue and distribution network. And as you see on the map or on the slide, this is a image of our Find Food map where folks can go and figure out where they might be able to access food around the county or in their local neighborhood. We provide meals to the community through collaborations with over 320 community partners throughout San Diego County. And this includes San Diego Unified School District, who we will hear from next. And as always, you can find a list of all of these available food distributions on our website at feedingsandiego.org. You click on Find Help and use our interactive Find Food map to find food near you. So we're excited to highlight a partnership we're very proud of. It's a partnership between Feeding San Diego and San Diego Unified School District. Gary Petill, the Director of Food Service for San Diego Unified School District, is here with us today. Thanks for joining us, Gary, and we're excited to hear you speak.
Thank you, Dana, and thank you to the Feeding San Diego team. I'd just like to first start off by thanking everyone for joining us today. What I want to really talk about is we've had a partnership with Feeding San Diego, and on behalf of San Diego Unified School District, we really appreciate our partnership. We pre-pandemic had a Love Food Not Waste program that would serve relief organizations coordinated by Feeding San Diego. And in the middle of March, on March 13th, we were still planning our summer kickoff event that we have that Feeding San Diego supports at all of our barbecues throughout the summer at park and rec centers, fruits and vegetables for families. But on March 13th at about 11 a.m., we got a phone call saying that there will be no school on March 16th, which would be Monday. That was a call that we will never forget. The first call I made was to Feeding San Diego, knowing that we've had such a great partnership. And our direction was that schools would be closed and that students and families would need food on Monday. We know that there was a short supply in groceries. People start to panic. People had lost jobs. And we really needed the partnership with Feeding San Diego, and the Feeding San Diego team came out and joined us. We opened 8 locations right away, which were curbside locations, serving families that could drive up and get groceries from Feeding San Diego. Lots of fruits and vegetables were delivered right to the locations with just a quick notice on Friday. Your team joined us at a press conference on Friday, and we expanded from 8 locations to 82 locations that you in Feeding San Diego have supported since March 16th to today, and still continue to service our community. This has been just amazing what Feeding San Diego has done. The groceries and the fruits and vegetables have helped so many families in need that were so food insecure, could not, loss of jobs, the hospitality industry shut down, waiters, dishwashers, housekeepers, people that worked in the food industry, waiters, they lost their jobs. Things closed down. There was no income for many, many people. And food insecurity became enormous in the city of San Diego and throughout the country. Feeding San Diego stepped up and supplied all of our locations with shelf-stable foods for families to take home, lots of fruits and vegetables. And as time went on, there was the Farmers to Family program with the USDA that Feeding San Diego also was able to ship boxes to our locations. And when we put flyers, when Feeding San Diego would drop off food, our numbers of student meals would triple because people would line up sometimes an hour before we started serving and distributing food at these curbside locations. People would walk from their neighborhoods just to get food, to help pay their rent, to pay their expenses, to stay in their homes. And as maybe all of us have noticed, that there's so many people that were on the brink of becoming homeless without being able to afford paying their rent or paying for other expenses. But the groceries have helped tremendously. And as now we know, the grocery prices have gone up, and we continue to partner with Feeding San Diego at our curbside locations, serving the communities that are in need. The Feeding San Diego team is just amazing in how they continue to help us. As you can see in this slide here, the fruits and vegetables, potatoes, and the unbelievable amounts of food that can be actually prepared at home for these families not to go hungry. We know that people need to eat. And if they can't eat, then we really have issues. And we know there's a lot of food insecurity pre-pandemic. With the pandemic, it just really exacerbated. It just increased tremendously. We can do the next slide, please. Thank you. As you can see, the way the boxes are labeled with love is such a nice message from Feeding San Diego. And as you can see, the 2 potatoes that we have on the bottom there are the heart, is the heart. Just great. I'm not sure how those things grew that way, but it really significantly shows how much the impact of serving groceries to so many families over the last 15 months have helped so many people. Okay, so we're going to fuel the summer. I think if there's any questions later, we can answer them, but the amazing amounts of groceries, and as I mentioned, when Feeding San Diego also gave us the foods such as milk and eggs and chicken and cheeses and yogurts and more fruits and vegetables for families that people today are still lining up to get groceries. And as we know that groceries are expensive, people were afraid to go into grocery stores. And so it's just been a tremendous partnership, and we sure appreciate everything that Feeding San Diego continues to support all of the families in San Diego. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Gary. We're so proud of our partnership, and those heart potatoes were just too good. Well, great. Well, moving on from what Gary was chatting about, I'm going to step in now and just give a little bit of information about Fuel for Summer, which is our current campaign. And this is actually, this is the fundraising campaign portion of what you just heard about from Gary and Dana. We really like to focus on our Feeding Kids initiative during the summer months, because historically, things have been very different because of the pandemic. As Gary mentioned, with ongoing food assistance, especially because kids were out of school. But historically, when school is on break in the summer months, that food assistance is still very much needed. And that's when this programming kicks in. And Fuel for Summer is the fundraising campaign that really supports all of this work, both those SFSP sites that Dana mentioned and the school pantry sites that are located at schools within the San Diego Unified School District. And this is really just providing that vital nutrition for children and their families during the summer months and all year long. And there's a range of ways people can access this food. The SFSP program is wonderful. We have great partners like Top Notch Catering that help us prepare meals for the kids, or it could be groceries to take home. Thank you, Alex. And so, this is a way, if you see Fuel for Summer, if you see this great logo with the watermelon, this is something that we are pushing during these months to just remind, all of our stakeholders about this historically precarious time for families where they might, slip through the cracks a little bit more because that programming isn't in place through their typical, the places where they might get it, like schools. So it's really important for us to highlight it. This campaign runs through August 8th. And so there are a lot of ways to get involved, and we're very thankful to our sponsors. We have some sponsors for this campaign this year, and that includes Ford Motor Company Fund and their San Diego dealerships, as well as Telos Capital Management, Wells Fargo, California Bank and Trust, and the Padres Foundation. So I just kind of want to get into a few ways that people can get involved. It doesn't always have to be, donation based. We have some really, really fun ways to get involved this summer if you have some time. I do want to mention first off, though, that we do have a match running right now as part of our Fuel for Summer fundraising campaign, thanks to a local San Diego based company, Traycon Pharmaceuticals. They are matching donations up to $25,000 through the end of this month. So if you donate this month, you can really feel good knowing that your impact is doubled, which makes a huge difference in our fundraising campaign. So definitely look out for that if you've been considering making a donation. We also currently have our Hats with Impact campaign. We have these blue Feeding San Diego baseball caps. One of the first pieces of merchandise that we've had for a while. And right now, if you donate $50, you receive this cap, which is great for the summer months. And we kind of are equating it to 50 cents a meal, $50 a month can feed one person for a whole month. So you can wear your hat with impact this summer if you would like to. We also are, really full force back into volunteering at our distribution center in Sereno Valley. We have group volunteering back open, so you can apply for that if you've been wanting to go with a group of friends or family. We also have our Teams for Good program, which is for corporations or companies that want to weave, giving into their business philosophy and bring in maybe a group of employees and add that to their company culture. So that's always an option. And you can also volunteer at our Together tour, as Dana mentioned, which is really great to be out there in the community, at these large scale distribution sites and meeting people and, loading the food right there into people's cars to help them take it home. And then we have our kindness campaign, which is a social media driven initiative it's in partnership with our friends at a local company called Kind Humans. And they are doing a social media challenge right now. They've been doing it for quite a while. And we still have some more meals to donate, or they have more meals to donate to us. But for every photo that people create, where they spell out the word kindness with whatever you might have on hand, macaroni shells, footballs, as you see Lonnie Paxton, former NFL player, created here. For every person that does that, snaps a photo, uses the hashtag and tags Kind Humans, they will donate 20 meals to our organization. So that's a, very interactive way you can get involved that just takes a little creativity. So make sure if you are on Instagram or anyone you know, that you maybe explore your kindness creativity. And that leads me into really our final slide with just, our philosophy of get help and give help. We want to be a hub for both. And so, if you or anyone would need resources, our website is an amazing place to find those resources. As Dana mentioned, our Find Food Map is, the best way to just easily plug in a zip code and find any food distributions near you. We have some other things here too. We do have Feed 365. That's our new monthly donor community. So if you become a monthly donor at any amount, $5, $50, you become a Feed 365 member, and we're rolling out some great, benefits to those community members, like a volunteer shift. And so you can get to know a new group of people, potentially coming out of the pandemic, which would be great. And there's always other ways too. You can start a fundraiser. We have corporate partnerships. We have benefit campaigns on our website, our shop and support page, which are usually very easy ways to, give back a percentage of sales to our organization. And, I'll leave us with spread the word, because you all are here on this call today and you have learned so much. And so you have the opportunity to spread the word and just word of mouth or social media, and keeping the conversation going about the work that's being done and all of the work that still needs to be done in the future. So thank you for listening to this section on Fuel for Summer and ways to get and give help. I am going now to open it up to a Q&A session. So if you have yet to add a question to the Q&A portion, please drop it in there and we can get to it. My colleague Alex is going to help me navigate those. So we'll give a minute for anyone who wants to add their question in. These questions can be for anyone who spoke today: Bob, Patty, Dana, Gary, myself, and we can go through those really quickly.
We've got one here. It looks like someone is curious as to whether the Meal Connect app is available to the public or if it's just for internal use. Dana Henderson, not sure if that's a question you want to take.
Sure, I'm happy to take that. So it is open to the public, and it is intended for food donors or folks who may be interested in volunteering their time to download. And through that app, the food donors can donate food in real time. So if they have, as Patty was talking about, perhaps they have just a little bit of extra chicken left over, or maybe they just have one box of produce that they need rescued. They can actually enter it into the Meal Connect app and be connected with one of our partners who will then pick that food up that same day and be able to turn it and get it out to the community within 24 hours.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
And then if you have any further questions on that too, feel free to submit them again, and we can try to get to those either by the end of this call, or we can always send out email answers at the end too. The next question is asking about other involvement with Feeding San Diego aside from donations, so things like volunteering. Carissa covered that a little bit, but I'll also go ahead and include the link to our volunteer page on the website, so you can see some of those different opportunities that she was talking about, like the Together Tour stops or volunteering here at our Serna Valley Distribution Center. So I'll make sure I include that in the chat. And then we had another question come in talking about what we think the impact of, or not what we think, but what is the impact going to be regarding the free universal school meals?
Do you want me to answer?
That might be a bit of a group effort on that one.
Gary,
So jump
I
up.
think Gary could start here first and foremost, and then we can
Well, as
chat
you all,
more.
as you all probably know, that the USDA has approved for this next whole school year that meals will be at no cost to all students. No stigma, no eligibility required. We plan to obviously serve lunch at schools at this point, and also to give meals as students breakfast for the next day and evening meals to them, as well as weekend meals. We were doing up to 21 meals a week. What will the impact be? I think we also have to be concerned about the younger kids who do not go to school as well as for the families. And that's why Feeding San Diego is continuing their partnership with us to keep open these curbside locations to be able to get food to families who may not be in school. The kids may not be in school, or families that do need assistance. It'll be a great impact because kids won't have to pay and families won't have to worry about the responsibility, and it hopefully will help people. Hope that answers your question.
If I could back up to the previous question regarding volunteers. I know that the website for Feeding San Diego has a location for people to access and look for volunteer opportunities so that you can sign up. And those include things such as the drive-through distributions that you can attend and help with the delivery of food to people. Some people don't feel comfortable doing that. They prefer to be more in the background. So we do have packaging that we do here at the warehouse. And we have teams that get together, or you can come as an individual and be hooked up with a team and either glean the product. In other words, checking for anything we don't want to distribute so we can dispose of it, or putting it into the net bags that are going to be used for distribution in an upcoming distribution network that we deliver food to. Well, now we're getting into a third arena. And this is where I refer to it, instead of just your hands or your heart, we want to employ your intellect. Because there are things that we run short on with regard to talent or our knowledge on certain subjects. And I'll just take for an example, one that we are looking for assistance with, and that is data analytics. We are trying to assess and understand, and I'm just using this as an example, why do people sign up for a food distribution and 35% of them are no-shows? So we provide all that food is ready to go. We deliver it to the site, and upwards of 35% on average never even show up. So why is that? So we put it out as a broadcast to all of our volunteer network and to the people who have signed up for these large distributions, where they were going to be some of the recipients of it. And what we're doing is something called crowdsourcing. We pose the question, we receive response, and then we aggregate the information and look for where the bell curve is that tells us here's where the most probable answer resides. Now we can focus our energy on trying to resolve that issue based on the responses we got from the crowdsourcing question. So that data analysis is something we would like to have a volunteer who is schooled in that discipline to help us understand the data. Not the question, not the answers, but the way the data has come together. So this is a third area. Like I said, hands are always helpful. Heart, where you give of your personal wealth to help us, but also your intellect, because we need help on solving some of the issues that we don't have the answer to, but some of you may. So that's just an expansion on how we would like to employ good volunteer help in solving some of the community problems. Back to you, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. Another question that came up was wondering how one goes about becoming a partner. So Dana Henderson, again, I don't know if you want to take that one.
Sure. Yeah. So if anybody is interested or knows of a organization or church or school that may be distributing food or looking to distribute food, we have a section on our website that actually discusses how you may be able to partner with Feeding San Diego, or you can reach directly out to Feeding San Diego and be connected to myself or our manager, our senior manager, who will kind of walk through the different eligibility criteria, talk you through what type of distribution you may want to be doing or might be looking into, and set you up for an application so that we can start that process.
Great. So that was the last question that was in the box here. I don't know, Carissa, if you want to go ahead and get ready to wrap us up, unless there are any last minute submissions here. Again, if you don't happen to get your question in time, we will be able to respond back to you after the call and we'll get you whatever information you requested. And so with that, Carissa, I will hand it on back over to you.
Thank you, Alex. To everyone who joined us today, we just extend our thanks for listening to all of our updates and for being involved with our organization. You can find us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we have our YouTube channel. Those are great places to continue to stay updated. And we look forward to seeing you at the next call.